We'll be running for around about 30 to 45 minutes today, I believe, talking about how to price, package, and pitch your social media services. And today we'll be covering kind of three, maybe even four core areas. One of those being how to identify your target market and what they want from your pricing. The other one being how to effectively pitch and sell your services, and then also just examples of different pricing structures. It's not going to be as well defined as like, hey, section 1, section 2, section 3 of this webinar. We'll combine a number of these different things together. And I'll be sharing examples and my experience and my learnings over the last 3 years of building my agency. And I really do want this session, especially because we actually have a really great number of people joining us live today. I want to make sure we make use of this live time. One thing I really, really love doing is helping people work through their challenges in real time and answering questions and providing support. I think that's why you join a webinar, right? You can always watch the replay of this session on YouTube. I believe it will be shared with you as long as you registered for this, but you can always watch the replays of these to kind of go through all the nitty-gritty details. But if you're here live right now, you're one of the fortunate people, right, who can work through challenges in real time. So I don't want you to view this as, hey, I'm just going to run through a load of slides. I want to be actively supporting anyone who's here, talking about pricing and sales specifically today. So how to price, package, and pitch your social media services. So one thing I do want to encourage, instead of just doing a Q&A at the end, bring your questions as soon as they come up. Like, even if you have questions about pricing and packaging and pitching right now, feel free to put them in the chat, and I promise you we'll get to as many of them as possible, most likely all of them, given the number of people that we have here today. So I really want to encourage that. I'm the kind of person that does these live sessions and webinars where we like to keep things engaging and interactive. So as you have questions, share them in the chat, and I promise that we'll get to as many of them as possible. So first of all, you might be thinking, who am I? Who is this guy that I am listening to? So I'm going to give you a little bit of context to that, first of all. So my name is Dylan. I am the co-founder and CEO of a small agency called Hey Digital, and we have been around for officially just about, well, the company has been incorporated for 4 years. I've been working on this full time for the last 3, and it's been Hey Digital as it is right now for the last 1.5 years or 2 years since my co-founder joined up with the business, and I fully dedicated to building an agency. When I first started, I was kind of freelancing, consulting, a little bit of stuff like that. And so we are actually focused solely on paid ads and CRO for SaaS businesses, B2B SaaS companies. And we have a team of, this actually says 12 because I just copied this slide from the last webinar I did 2 weeks ago, but right now I think we're actually at 14 full-time people, and then a couple of contractors on our team as well. And we've always built our team completely global, fully remote. It was always part of the plan for us. And so, yeah, we have team members in 10 different countries currently, and adding to that all of the time, which is really great. So I would like to think I have I don't want to say that I'm an expert by any means, because I don't like describing myself that way. And I still have a long way to go to meet my goals and objectives for our business, but we've done pretty well over the last few years. This year will be a over €1 million a year business. We work with some of the best SaaS companies in the world, companies like Hotjar, Stream, Userleap. Our clients raise hundreds of millions of dollars in funding. And I'm also the host of a podcast, which is called the SaaS Marketing Show. This is a marketing channel for our agency and great for client acquisition as well, which we can talk about a little bit later on, and also just learning more about our customers. And I do webinar sessions like this. So PromoRepublic very kindly asked me to support on some learning sessions for the agency and Freelancer Academy. I actually used to do sessions like this for the team at PromoRepublic a couple of years ago now. So it's really cool to see my agency growth, being able to share this story and learnings with all of you as well. So that's a little bit about me. I'm not an employee of PromoRepublic. They have decided to provide the best support that they can to agencies and people in this space. And I don't think there's many other, if any other companies out there really dedicating time and resources like this to training, and free resources like this to training agency owners, freelancers, etc. So big kudos to the team at PromoRepublic. Thank you for having me. And I think all of us here watching should be thanking them too for hopefully their great quality content. I hope you're gonna enjoy what I'm gonna share with you today. So who would like to kick things off and get things started, give me a yes in the live chat box if you're ready to jump into our kind of core topic areas today. I want to hear from a few of you. Great. We have a responsive chat, which is awesome. I love that. I'm really pleased we've got the energy here tonight because I've had, I'm actually based in Estonia, in Tallinn, in Europe. So it is not super late, but it's like 8 p.m. with me. And you can maybe tell from my voice, I've had a lot of calls and things today. So I was hoping we were going to have good energy on this session. So I'm really pleased to see that in the chat. So thank you to all of you who are engaging there. 1 a.m. with some of you. Wow, that's awesome. So our first kind of topic area is centered around how to identify your target market, because I felt like before just jumping into, hey, this is something that you should think about with your pricing structure or strategy, this is ways to price things, this is ways to sell things better, we have to get the core understanding of who we're offering our services to, what value we bring to the market before we can even consider pricing approaches and pricing strategies, right? I think naturally as agency owners, founders, whatever, you want to get to revenue as quickly as possible, right? And consistent revenue as quickly as possible. So sometimes people skip this step. Could you actually let me know using the chat also? I'm not going to do this too many times. Don't worry. I won't ask you questions every like 3 seconds, but could you let me know how big your agency is right now? And I know that's a very vague term, but maybe let me know if you're like pre-revenue or you have 1 or 2 clients or you have a tiny team, a large team, because that will also help me tweak kind of some of the information that I shared today. I would imagine most of the people here are kind of early into their agency journey. And so I want to share, if that is the case, I want to share kind of some of the best learnings that we've had over the last year and a half going through this kind of growth phase. I know that client numbers doesn't always matter either, because to give some transparency, like my agency, we work with, I think as of today, 18 clients or something like that. But we charge quite high retainer fees. And so it doesn't always matter on loads of clients. I know some social media marketing agencies have like 200, 300 clients paying like $100 a month or something, right? So that's why I asked. But thank you everyone for sharing. So some people saying 3 clients, some people saying 100 clients, some people saying 10 to 15, 2 or 3 clients, 2 or 3 employees, just getting started, 3 full-time, 3 part-time. Okay, cool. So we're fairly early-ish in general. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that, everyone. So I would like to think that some of you have already identified your target market or think you've identified your target market, but I know that I know that this is a process that is constantly evolving, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on into today's session. But ultimately, successful marketing and business building relies on really understanding your target market, your target customer, who you're selling to, why should they buy your product, what will they gain from working with you, how will it help them in their day-to-day, all these kind of stuff, right? All these kind of things. And so to help us get clear on that path, I thought I'd share some tips or steps to consider to help you better understand who you're servicing or who you're supporting, because I think this is often a challenge for a lot of people. So let's start with this: some target market research or ways to get a grips or a really thorough understanding of kind of who, what, why you're going to be offering, right? So I wanted to share a few things. I'm obviously going to add a lot of context to these. So here you'll see I've shared conduct market research. And what do I mean by that? So if you're at the early stages of your business, it's really, really important that you start to, before you pitch or package together your services, you need to know what you're going to offer and how it's going to help people. Now, if I share a little story with you as to how I decided how I was going to structure my agency, this may help add a little bit of clarity to some of my points. But I actually worked in 2 different B2B SaaS companies as an employee before I started my own agency. And during that time, I noticed common problems coming up, right? So I noticed that once a SaaS company had raised a Series A round of funding or a seed round, they were early stage, they maybe had 2 people in their marketing team. They had budget available to spend on paid advertising. It was a channel that they wanted to utilize, but often they didn't have the resources available internally to dedicate to that. They didn't have a paid ads manager. They didn't have a copywriter. They didn't have designers that are specific to paid ads. I didn't have video creators, all this animators, all this kind of stuff, right? And so I started to notice this problem, and people started to ask me, hey, like I do a lot of speaking events in the past, webinars, etc., podcasts, and people would say to me, hey, can you help our company with this? Or can you help us solve this issue? And it reached that point very quickly where, why am I still working at another business when there's clearly a problem out there that needs to be solved and I can build something to solve that, right? And so my market research was actually, when I was in my last couple of positions, starting to understand what was going on in my niche. And so for other people, that could look like, hey, you could talk to, let's say you're thinking about working with this type of person or this type of company. Your research could be talking to those potential customers. It could be local businesses. It could be previous employers of yours, previous managers, previous people that you worked alongside. It could be friends. It could be watching YouTube videos even, and going into the niche that you're thinking about or the industry that you're thinking about and seeing what are the common pain points that these people are talking about. What are the gaps for services available? It could be researching other agencies, looking at how they're structuring things. It could be hosting a podcast or going on podcasts. Like one of the ways that I've learned how to structure our offering is through the SaaS Marketing Show podcast, where I knew that we were going to work with CMOs at B2B SaaS companies and heads of marketing. So I started interviewing as many of those people as I possibly could so that I could learn what their problems are, what their challenges are, and better evolve our pricing later on and our servicing and our structure and how we communicate and all this kind of stuff, right? So I'm not telling all of you to go ahead and start a podcast or anything like that, but I think market research can be very fun and interesting and can support you a lot when it comes to presenting your offer to potential leads and clients further down the line. A couple of the key things that I really, really do want to encourage you to think about though here is to really dive deep on learning and understanding pain points and common purchasing paths. So for us, like at Hey Digital, initially the pain point that I uncovered was, okay, these CMOs, VPs of marketing at these SaaS companies, they'd raised money. They had investors, and the investors wanted them to spend the money pretty quickly and show results or returns off the back of that. And so a channel to do that helps speed that process up is often through paid ads, right? And they didn't have people on their team to deliver quickly, but more importantly, with the experience and high quality. And so I knew that was a common pain point. And the pain point really beneath that was making the CMO, the VP of marketing look like they're doing awesome to the investors, to the CEOs, etc. So we first started to understand that, and then we start picking up as time goes on, as we're making more proposals, dealing with more clients. And this is why I've put here, always iterate and improve on this information. Like as the last 3 years have happened for my company, we have not changed our persona or changed our offering, but we've just doubled down in areas. So for example, we started to see, okay, we're great at driving results from paid ads. We're really awesome at that. And now a new, not necessarily pain point, but something that we have great people on our team for, and something that many companies in our industry don't have the ability to do, is really high quality design for the ads that we run, and video designs, like video assets specifically, and then other creative landing pages, etc. And so we've really started to factor that even more into our pitching, our pricing, our packaging, our communication. And actually now at Hey Digital, like design is actually what pulls in a lot of our potential future clients. And I can show you, if anyone's interested, a really practical example of this. So we started to hear from our clients and potential clients that they were seeing our design, and that was getting them to initiate a conversation with us. So then we built out, I know I'm sharing my screen so you can see this. We built out a Dribble profile where every day we share design that our team has produced and worked on. So we have videos, if you hover over these, they'll play. We have static ads, carousels, all kinds of stuff here, right? And this was an iteration off the back of feedback that we received from clients. And so we start pushing certain areas of the business more because we have a better understanding of our target customer. And this then helps us present better offers and generate more revenue for the business further down the line, which is something that we'll talk about. And so you'll see that this process for me at Hey Digital has constantly changed and improved over time. I think that's one thing really important to know. I think a lot of agency owners, freelancers, whatever, actually spend I know this sounds a little bit counterproductive, but sometimes spend too much time on this at the beginning. Like I know people that have spent days and days and days building out their target persona to begin with, right? So I don't want to encourage you to do that because I don't think you should get bogged down, but I do want you to have a level of understanding and iterate as time goes on. Is that making sense? Is this like helpful for people as a top level? Have you spent time doing this? I just want to make sure, because I know that some people here have been doing this for a little bit of time, right? But I'm hoping that what I'm sharing is going to make you think about other things too. And one of the things I want to add on to this is that you'll see here a lot of where we've started to see success in my agency really is due to the fact that we niched down very, very hard. Like we really picked a niche and a real strong focus for our business. And so one thing that we've decided, our next PromoRepublic like agency and freelancer academy webinar is actually going to be this one right here about how to choose a niche for your agency and the pros and cons that come along with that. So like, what is a niche? Why would you choose a niche? The differences between full service and niche focused, common pros and cons and examples and stuff like that. And so this is the next webinar that I'm going to be running. And I would love to see some of you on this session. So what I'm actually going to do is grab this link and I will share it in the chat just shared it in the webinar chat. Hopefully you can see that. Let me know if for any reason that you can. I know that seems like a little bit of a shameless plug, but I think it really ties into what we're talking about so far. I see that we have a few questions that are coming through, and one is really relevant to the slide that we're on right now. So I'm going to tackle that in real time. And this question is from Andreas that says, but what if you don't know your target market? What do you do? Meaning that now we kind of are accepting all clients. Okay. That's a really good question. So everyone has different opinions on this. In my mind, like I know my target market very well now, but I had always decided on a core area of focus at the very beginning. Now that will come more into our next webinar on like niches and niche focus, because I'm not saying it's the only way or the right way or the wrong way. I actually have a section in a slide later in this webinar that says don't accept all clients, like don't accept everyone, because I think it's a mistake. I think it's a really big mistake. But I know when you're first getting started, you're more likely to accept more clients. And so I also did that when we first started. We didn't accept all clients, but we accepted any client that had the money to work with us at the time that was a SaaS company, right? So we didn't accept all clients, but we accepted a lot. So that's one thing to think about. Like, I really would encourage you not to accept everyone. Now, if you don't know your target market, that's okay. You're going to find it out, right? You're going to learn. This is the whole process of building a business, right? Iterating, learning. You could maybe instead, if you don't want to pick a target market yet, you could pick okay, this is our target. This is our service. You're going to know what your offering is right now, what your service is. You're either like a social media marketing agency, an SEO agency. You could be paid ads like us. There's loads of different ways. Like I would say, if you don't know your market yet and you want to experiment, you do know your service and your offering. So lead with your offering and your service, but understand, maybe choose 2 or 3 different markets, or better than that, know who you're selling to. So like, okay, are you selling to the CEO? Is it a VP of marketing, head of marketing? And understand those people and their pain points. And then you can go deeper with like niches and things like that a little bit later on if you want. And that's something that we'll talk about on that next webinar. So can people just let me know that the link, did you manage to see that in the webinar chat, in the webinar room? I just want to make certain. Okay, you did, great. So Andreas, hopefully that helps a little bit. Let me know if you want to ask more questions on that as we go, because I think this is something that's super, super important, and I want to make sure that we kind of support you with. I'm just going to take a quick second to take a look at some of the other questions that were coming in. So someone asked, can you explain how to present the services so that people buy them? We'll get to that later. Okay, cool. Okay. If you have questions, just as a reminder, if you're joining like now or you missed the beginning, we're going to take questions as we go throughout the session, because there's a good number of people here live, and I just love kind of freestyling through challenges that you may be having. So any questions related to pitching, pricing, packaging, sales, etc., go ahead and drop them in the chat, and we will definitely get round to them. Okay. And someone said, if we have to jump off, will we access the recording? I'd really encourage you to stay if you can, so that you can be here for the live kind of Q&A and stuff like that. But as long as you signed up for the webinar, which obviously you did because you're here right now, yes, you will get access to the recording too. Okay, we're going to go into some sales stuff in a second and get pretty practical. But first, I want to take one more question, which is also from Andreas. So that's thanks for getting these in. So it says, I'm thinking of going into the real estate market, but I have no case studies, neither have I worked with them before, so I'm not sure if it's a good choice. So don't let that stop you. You likely won't have case studies for any industry right now, right? If you're just getting started. So you have to build, you have to start somewhere. That's why when we started, I was lucky, if you want to call it that, that I had worked in SaaS companies before. So I didn't have any case studies, but I had, hey, I've worked at these SaaS companies and I could use that positioning. If you don't have any cases, haven't worked in these kind of companies before, it's fine. Like if you can really understand marketing or the service that you're offering, and then spend time understanding this industry's common pain points and problems, you'll be fine. You'll build case studies over time. Like if you go on the Hey Digital website right now, we actually haven't updated our website apart from adding pictures of some team members for about 1.5 years now. And the case studies that we have on there are 3 case studies, and they're super old. They're actually like the first case studies we ever had. And we're going to be changing those up and including video case studies and other bits and pieces from bigger, better brands. But like, I'm going to share a little bit later on some sales tips around pitching and proposing, and case studies actually I've found aren't the most important thing. Like, I don't think people actually care that much about case studies. So hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Okay, so let's get into some sales stuff. Let's talk about pitching, pricing, packaging, closing deals, etc. So why getting pricing and packaging right is absolutely crucial. Now, I've learned over the last 3 years, and I think just in general, that it's super hard for agencies to get pricing right. I don't really think there is a right or a wrong, but this is like one of the most important aspects to try and get working well for your business in order to grow in a sustainable way. Because if you price too low and you have low margins, that's not going to support business growth, and there's no point doing things if your margins are super thin, right? If you underscope a project, like let's say you think it's going to take way less time or effort or resource than it actually does, you'll therefore be underpricing again, and you'll be frustrated, your team will be frustrated, and you won't be able to deliver a great service. This is something that's super important that I learned actually very quickly. And if you price too high, you'll likely not close enough deals, and you could potentially be replaced easily if you don't deliver the service that you promised. Now, I'm going to talk to you about and share with you how we started pricing. Now, bear in mind, I'm not a social media marketing agency. I'm a paid advertising agency, paid ads and CRO, but I think the structure of pricing is the same or very similar. And I think my learnings can help a lot of you. And ultimately, there isn't a right or a wrong way to do pricing specifically, but I think what I can share will be valuable. Now, if you do a quick Google search, I literally took this screenshot about 20 minutes before we did this webinar because I wanted to add it in. I just went in and searched, how much does a social media marketing agency cost? And hopefully you can see this. What I highlighted in the red boxes is that we had on the first 4 results on Google, one said $400 to $1,000 a month. The other result said $4,000 to $7,000 per month for social media management. And then the third one said estimated total cost $20 to $100 a month. So what does that tell us? That tells us that there are many different ways to pitch and price social media services or agency services in general. It tells me that a lot of agency services are also underpriced or undervalued. And to give some context to that too, I see here over, I don't know if you'll see my mouse, I'm not sure if you will, but over here where it says PPC, starting at $600 a month. Essentially, my agency does PPC with a few more things on top of that, but we don't charge anything less now than like 5,000 euros a month, which is like $5,000 to $6,000, and we have clients paying 8,000, 10,000. So there's a huge variety here, and that's why I wanted to say that there isn't a right and a wrong way. There isn't a, hey, you should package your pricing this way or that way. It's a learning process. Now, 2-3 years ago, when we first started Hey Digital, I decided on what my minimum would be. And I don't know if this is a right or a wrong way to do things, but I decided that my minimum price, we're not going to do anything less than 2,000 euros at the time. And so we wouldn't take on anyone unless they're willing to pay at least that. I don't really know why I picked that number. I think it was just something that I felt comfortable with at the time because I didn't have tons of clients. I didn't have a team. I knew if I could get a couple of those, it would be actually very cost effective for them. Like it would feel cheap for them because I would deliver an amazing service. And so we have, as time has gone on, we've basically just increased our pricing as our services improved, but also just every time we bring on a new client until we find a sweet spot. And so I want to encourage you to consider basing your pricing on value rather than cost. I think many agencies price based on their costs rather than the value that they delivered. So they might look at, let's say, you'll determine how much a client will cost you and then add your markup on top. But I think this means that the client will pay for your efficiency or lack of efficiency, right? So let's say it takes you 3 hours to create a social media content calendar, but another agency may do that in 2 hours. Your client, if you were to price based on cost, will have to pay you more for inefficiencies that you have in your system. And ultimately, clients don't really care about how long things take. They want to make sure that you drive additional value to the bottom line of their business. And so this doesn't happen in my space in like paid advertising, but I know in the social media management world, a lot of people probably price hourly. Do any of you here price hourly? Let me know if you price hourly in the chat, because I want to say in my mind, I as I said, social media marketing isn't my out and out service, but I would say don't ever price hourly. Like if you're trying to build an agency, remove that option or that consideration from your mind entirely. Like don't ever do that. Because let's say you've spent 7 years getting great at social media marketing and you have really smooth systems and processes and you can do something in 10 minutes that might take someone else an hour. Because you get it done in 10 minutes, should you be valued less than the person that gets it done in an hour? No, really, you should actually be valued more, right? Because you're bringing more time to the business owner. And so I want you to consider basing your pricing on value rather than cost. And there are a few ways that you can do this. I'll share like how we do this, and then I'll share some social media examples that I took a look at online that I think might be interesting. I see in the comments we have, so Dan says some work is hourly. Some people said this is why I would like to know how to price properly. Some people say pricing for value is my goal. We have package costs, exactly. Okay, cool. So it looks like most people aren't pricing hourly, which is really great. Just going to get to a couple real quick questions that someone asked me earlier when I was talking about paid ads. Someone said, does our paid ads fee include the ad spend? No, our clients pay for the ad spend because it would be, in my opinion, silly for you to cover the cost of the ad spend. Yeah, they should be doing that. Okay. And Andreas is asking me 2K a month management fee for what budget? Like we don't do that anymore, Andreas. So I don't really know. I think when we first started, we were maybe working with like 5K a month ad budgets or something, but now we deal with ad budgets of like anywhere from usually 30,000 to $200,000 a month. Okay, so consider basing on value rather than cost. Now, the way that we started to do this at Hey Digital is understanding the value that we bring, right? Which ties back into the research point that we mentioned earlier on in today's session of, okay, our service, what we provide and who we have on our team is we have like a copywriter who writes the ad copy, the landing page copy, everything like that. We have we have multiple designers. We have video editors and animators and video effects people. We have paid ad specialists who have a lot of experience in our niche, working for some of the best SaaS companies in the world. We have great reporting, great systems. We really bring a lot of value to the table. And if someone was to get all of that themselves within their company, they would have to hire a team of like 7 or 8 people, which would cost tens of thousands of dollars or euros every single month, right? And so we think about that when doing our pricing, not only what would it cost to get what they get from us internally, but then what value does it bring to the business? And that's why we don't price based on low pricing of like a few $100s a month or $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, because we bring so much more than that to the business. Like if they needed to hire the team that we have, they would have to spend a huge sum on that. So that's one way that we started to look at value-based pricing. Some people will do this based on things like return on ad spend. Maybe if you're running ads agencies, if you're doing social media marketing, I'm not certain on this, so feel free to interject. But I think some things you could think about is outside of like, don't view yourself as just scheduling posts. Think about yourself as being like providing the content that is the face of the brand. Like think about how important brand building is. Think about that. Think about the strategic initiatives that you implement, right? Like how you come up with the strategy for posting, what the content is going to be. Like all of these different things are significant value adds to the business, because if you're posting social content and website content, that's driving people to the business, right? Which is going to result in sales ultimately. Like marketing is so important to people. So Alex says the hard part with social media is that it doesn't increase the client's bottom line unless they're advertising. So selling social media services is difficult. Most clients think it's not worth the cost. So I don't necessarily have this all the time, right? Because I'm not selling social media, but I actually think you should try and reframe that a little bit because it's marketing, and marketing does add value to the bottom line. It's just not entirely trackable. That's the difference sometimes. Like paid advertising, it's entirely trackable all the way through the funnel, right? But actually with a lot of our clients, it's not, because we work with SaaS companies. So you have to reframe the value of marketing in that case. Think about the people that you're going to be putting yourself or your clients in front of, the branding that you build, the awareness that you generate, the positioning of the brand. Like people buy from people that they love and brands that they love, right? So that's something that I would consider there. Someone says, how do you explain the ROI? So you can't fully explain the ROI of social ads, right? Sorry, not of social ads, but of social media marketing. But you can, what can you explain the ROI of fully really with a service in the marketing space? Like our paid advertising, yes, it's going to drive trial signups or sales or demos booked or whatever it may be, but there's many other things that affect that also. So it's more about framing this around the value of social and the value of marketing, not down to a direct dollar amount. And I know that can be challenging sometimes, but just something to try and reframe your mindset around a little bit, because it sounds like some of you right now actually don't believe that you bring value to clients. And so if you feel that way, you're never going to be able to sell to clients. I hate to break it to you. Like if you don't see the value in what you're offering, it's not going to happen. People aren't going to want to buy from you. So you really need to truly believe in what it is that you do and what it is that you offer. Just a little bit of like mindset advice there, I guess. So I was doing some social media marketing related research ahead of this call, and I wanted to share this, not this specific pricing, because I don't know if this is good or bad, but I really like the way that this agency put together packages with opportunities for add-ons and upsells. So this is something that we do at Hey Digital, is we always pitch to the client one or two different packages or options, never just one thing. So someone says good ways to pitch, and we'll talk about this later on, but never just pitch one price or one option. I like to suggest multiple, and think about opportunities for upsells. And so you'll see that these are like 3 packages, but then when you click on like see full deliverables, this agency really knows what they offer, right? Inside and out. So you'll see that they have everything of like, hey, this is what's included, this is what's not included. These are additional costs. So like they charge extra for calls. They charge extra for ongoing campaigns if you want to do ads. They charge extra for boosted posts. They charge extra for additional networks. Like this is where you have a good understanding of your customer and you can put together price packages and do a much better job at selling. Because if you have, like, one mistake I made at the beginning was I didn't have clear direction on exactly what our offer was. And so every time I would do a sales proposal or a sales call, I would slightly tweak things, and it would take me ages. I would spend hours sometimes on proposals, and I would constantly be changing things. And then if we did close the deals or win the deals, in the back end when we were servicing them, a number of our clients had different setups and different structures, and it was a nightmare. And so I really would think about the service that you offer or want to offer, and think about how you can standardize it as much as possible into a few different packages. You don't necessarily have to frame it as packages to your clients. You can just offer them like 2 different options when you're proposing, but try and keep those as uniform as you can across the business in the back end, because it will make things a lot easier for you later on. Someone here in the chat says, Andreas says, we believe it, but clients, I'm not sure. It's difficult to quantify the outcome. Yeah, I can see it, but at the same time, there's probably hundreds of thousands of agencies out there doing doing social media management, and it can work very well for you. So I think you need to try and have a little bit more confidence in what you're offering and the value that you bring. I know it's hard if you're just getting started, and it will come with time, but I truly believe you can't build a business if you don't believe in the offer, or if you don't believe that clients believe in the offer. Like, your role is to make them believe, right? And help them believe and understand. Okay, so someone also said, very good point, Dylan. You can't sell what you don't believe. Someone said, what website was this? Yeah, it was webfx.com. I don't know if these are a good agency or not. I'll be honest. I don't know anything about them, but I took a look online when I was looking at, I basically wanted to get a screenshot of something like this to share with you to enforce my point about pricing packages. And then I saw this deliverables section, which I really liked. And so I wanted to share that with everyone. So I'm not saying this agency are great or bad. I'm not too sure. But I think this is something that makes sense to share. No problem. Okay, remember to, if you have questions, make sure to get them in. We're 40 minutes in. I have another like 7 or 8 slides, which I'll rattle through so that we can do questions also. This has been really great. Like, I love having these interactive sessions. So questions around packing, pricing, pitching, get them in. I want to just quickly cover some other sales related tips from my experience over the last 3 years. And these are literally just slides like this with text on, where I'll add some context. Okay, so build your brand, pre-qualify leads thoroughly, don't waste time. I can guarantee there are many of you here right now wasting time on clients or potential clients or leads that you know aren't a good fit for you before you even get on the phone with them. Cancel those calls. I literally cancel probably, like, of the inbound leads that we get for our agency, like, we just get inbound, we don't do any outbound or anything like that. I probably cancel half of the calls. Sometimes they could be a good fit, but like, I'm just not interested in them. I don't think their website is strong enough, like lots of other bits and pieces. But one of the great things for me personally, and why we've seen such great growth at Hey Digital, is through building my own personal brand, then the company's brand and our positioning, etc. I could do a whole nother webinar about that. So maybe that's something that we'll cover, about how to market your agency. But pre-qualify your leads as thoroughly as you can, and don't waste time. Like, don't get on phone calls with people if you already know they're not going to be a fit. And don't be afraid to ask people. Like, when people come through our website, if the questions that they provide on our like scheduling form leave me unsure, and I take a look at their website and I'm not certain, before just getting on a call with them blindly, I'll send them an email transparently sharing with them my feelings and some questions around whether it's budgets, whether it's the size of their marketing team, their resources. Like, save yourself time and save them time. They will appreciate that more. Like, and if you do end up getting on a call and after 5 minutes you realize it's not a good fit, end the call, but be honest and transparent about it. We've had times where people have come to us, they've been too early. I've ended things within 5 or 10 minutes. I've done it in a really great way. And a year later, they come back to us because they remember that we didn't just take them for a ride. So this is one thing that's super, super important. And then another one that I had is don't hide away from pricing. Be open about it early into the process. I never even go to proposal stage with our clients. Like, we do our processes, we do initial like discovery call, if you want to call it that, which is a short call. We then look at some accounts to do some auditing or reviewing. Then we'll do a proposal call, and then that's it. Don't ever go to a proposal call without sharing a pricing range towards the end of the first call. If you say to someone at the end of the first call, okay, these are our next steps, etc., and you've told them, hey, our pricing depends on these things, but it could be anywhere from $4,000 to $10,000 a month. And if they gasp and freak out, then you know there's no point doing that next call. Like, you can see how they respond. You want to pre-frame the value, you want to pre-frame the value that you bring, but also you want to make sure that you're not going to waste their time, they're not going to waste your time. So don't ever hide away from pricing. If you share pricing with someone and you're too expensive, like, that's good. It's fine. I know that you want clients, but it's fine. It's better to work with the clients that fit the structure that you want to have rather than anyone that will work with you. Someone says, how do you end those calls? I'm too nice. Yeah, I think I'm too nice too. I'm like the nicest guy ever. It's ridiculous the amount of time I spend with people. Like, I love talking with people, right? But you can do it in a really nice way by being 100% genuine and honest and saying, hey, look, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. These are the clients that we work with, or kind of clients that we work with, or this is why I have concerns. Like, I actually start calls sometimes and say, hey, look, thanks for filling in the information. I've taken a look at your website. I've done this research. I've done that. I do have some concerns, to be transparent with you before we proceed. This is what they are. And just go from there. So it's super, super important. Someone says, do you share your price range outright or on your site or just on the first email? We don't share our pricing on our website. We talk about it on our phone call. Never, ever, 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 ever just send a proposal. If someone says to you, hey, send me a proposal, don't do it. Don't do it. You're wasting your time. We don't ever just send proposals. We will only ever put together a proposal. Like, obviously, we do a proposal for every client that we close, right? Like, we can't close clients without proposals, but we would never agree to do a proposal unless the client agrees to schedule a call where we run through the proposal. So we run through the proposal on a phone call with the client so that we can answer any objections in real time, but more importantly, add context to our proposal. Our proposal decks are very simple, but on a call, we don't just run through every slide on the deck. We show other things, which I'll talk about in a second. Don't say yes to everyone. So we've talked about this a few times. Vet your clients as much as possible, because 1 or 2 bad clients will set back your progress significantly. I learned this the hard way. In the beginning, we took on anyone that was a SaaS business that could afford to spend the initial 2,000 euros a month that we were charging. And we struggled with some tough clients or bad clients. So don't say yes to everyone. And then this point is what we cover on proposal calls. So I've learned over the last 3 years, potential clients often don't even care. And some of you are probably going to think I'm crazy for saying this, but they often don't actually care about the results. They care more about your systems, your communication than anything else. And when I say here, they care more about your systems, results, and communication. I wasn't meant to have results in there. That's my bad. I was meant to say your systems and communication than anything else. And so when we do our proposal calls, we have a proposal deck that we share with everyone afterwards, which of course has, this is what's included, this is what's not included, this is, actually I might just be able to show, let me see if I can do this real quick. I'm just gonna have to, okay, I'm gonna show you something super fast. So our proposal decks, oh, that's not right. Our proposal decks will look a little something like this. And so we'll have here like a bit about us and our team, our clients, some pain points, some work that we do looking at competitive landscape, our approach with examples of ads, some case studies, and then pricing, what's included, what isn't. It's super, 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 super simple. But what we go into more depth on a proposal call is actually we walk through live in real time what on earth we do for our clients. Like we show them our systems, our processes. We show them how we do like keyword research, strategic planning, creating ads, writing copy, design examples, communicating with our clients, feedback loops, reporting examples, our weekly updates, our Slack channels. Like we show them everything so that they know fully what it's like working with us, and we highlight our systems. And that's where you bring your value to the pricing too, is because the reason someone wants to work with an agency is because they want to fast track to success. They want someone that already has systems built out, processes built out, right? So that's super, super, super important. Alex just said, isn't that a lot of wasted time if the client doesn't go with you though? Yes, it would be, Alex, but to be transparent with you, we close like pretty much, I don't want to say all of those calls, but a real majority of them, because we're so stringent to get someone to that stage. We don't propose something to someone unless we know that we want to work with them and that they want to work with us. So this is the difference that I think a problem that a lot of agencies have is they go through all of that without doing that. But we do a lot of pre-qualification. So actually like, I won't share exactly, but over the last 6 months, like from all of the proposal calls that we've done, I think our close rate is like 90% or something. It's like, it's kind of ridiculous. And so in my mind, no, it's not wasted time. It's not wasted time at all. And yes, proposals are always part of a call. We never, ever, ever send a proposal. We always have it on a call. And then something else to think about that I've learned, and I shared this in our last webinar, is you should automate and systemize as much of your onboarding and back-end systems as possible. Now, if these screenshots don't make any sense, I would recommend you go check out the last webinar that we did where I talked about onboarding systems. But this is something super important. It will help your clients stay with you for longer, but it will also help you deliver better. And this is a part of your value add. If the onboarding experience is like absolutely amazing for your clients, then it will be great for you. And then the final thing is you should invest in the best possible tools to help support your workflow. Now, naturally, this webinar being put on by PromoRepublic, it would be crazy not to mention them with us talking about social media management as well. If you are running a social media management agency or business, you should invest in the best tools to help you. And this ties into what I said on the last webinar and this little slide here about like systemizing your workflows and making your back end as smooth as possible. Tools like PromoRepublic are super, super important for helping with that. And this in turn helps you close deals better because you have better systems, better processes. It's easier to deal with more clients, etc.